Hello, buddy. Welcome back to the Tin Man's Court channel. I'm your host, Jeff Tin Man Taylor, and today I'll be reacting to my third and final scary storyteller channel, and it's Spooky Vibes. And the video that I'll be reacting to is 3 true blizzard horror stories. So without further ado, I'm going to turn these lights off, move the camera up here for you guys, and let's get this reaction on the road and in the bag, shall we? Okay, here we go.
So, this story happened when I was still living with my parents.
Okay.
My parents' house was pretty much a cabin out in a heavily wooded area in New England. If I'm being honest, it was a very isolated location, but also had beautiful views at the same time.
That's the type of place I wouldn't mind living in, a isolated cabin-style home. And like you said, the benefit of that is you get good views if you're not living in an area that's going to be getting demolished and built up with something else on it, because then the views will be taken away. But anyway, let's continue with the story, see what happens next, shall we?
Well, in New England, we would get hit with some of the biggest snowstorms.
Oh, I bet.
And I'm talking like anywhere from 10 to 16 inches sometimes. This one huge snowstorm we had was coming down hard. Like, my parents couldn't even leave their house to go to work. It was that bad.
Yeah, if you were living in like a New England state, like Massachusetts, New York, Maine, Vermont, all you guys would be getting hit with 10 to 16 inches of snow, maybe even more, because it gets colder up that way than it does down here where I live. And it determines by the weather patterns too in a certain area.
That also meant I didn't have to go to school, which, as a kid, was freaking awesome.
Yeah, that is a plus.
This snowstorm was so bad that it didn't stop snowing, even well into the night. And at that time, I was up in my room, playing on my Xbox, when all of a sudden, there was a knock at our front door. And for context, it was a little past midnight at this point. I heard the knock come from downstairs, and listened closely, because there was no way in hell someone would be knocking at our door at midnight.
Yeah, especially if it's snowed outside. Who would be walking out there late at this time of night in a freezing cold blizzard? Either someone who really needs help or trying to get your attention to open up the door so they can rob you. You got to think about this when you're living in an isolated place that is snowed in, because you don't just open up your door to strangers. You need to be running to your parents and tell them, do you hear that knock at the door? See what they do about it.
In one of the worst snowstorms that we were having, I opened my bedroom door, and I saw both my parents making their way down the stairs to see who it could be. They flicked on the porch lights and opened up the front door. And I shit you not, right on our front steps was this ginormous snowman. Like, he was massive. And I came running down the stairs to have a closer look. My dad had this utterly perplexed look on his face as he stared at this towering snowman. And get this, there were no footprints anywhere that we could see. Granted, it was still snowing very hard at this point, but if someone had just made this snowman, I figured we should be able to see something.
First of all, I'm glad your parents woke up to the sound of that knocking. But yeah, he's right. This kid is right. You would have been able to see tracks of the person that built that snowman, but since it was snowing heavily, it probably covered him up. Either that dude's playing a cruel prank at a late time of night, or he's trying to scare them. But that'd be weird seeing a big snowman right there on your porch. I would either slide or knock that snowman off the porch and into the snow, because why would somebody do that? That's just weird.
But we didn't. And like I said, our house was very isolated in the woods. Our closest neighbor was over a mile away. And even still, there was no way anyone would be driving in these conditions. My dad eventually shut the door because of how much snow was getting inside. He asked me if I had done this, but of course I didn't. Now get this. The next day, I guess my dad was calling around the area and speaking with neighbors, and 2 other neighbors also got a knock on their doors around midnight, with a giant snowman at the front door. They also couldn't explain how it happened, and also reported not seeing any footprints.
Okay, I don't know why the dad would have thought that his kid would have done that when they were in bed hearing the knocks themselves. And they were just coming down the steps when you open up the door. But then if you get tips from neighbors that they had snowmen built on their front porch as well, that's a little strange. It's got to be either teenagers playing a sick practical joke on all these people or a crazy lunatic. But the snow is like coming down and covering up their tracks quickly. Beats me.
To this day, we still have no clue who or what was responsible for the snowmen. If you guys have any guesses, I'm all ears. Thanks for listening.
I mean, I wished I had something else plausible to tell you, but thank God it won't no warning of something else bad happening to you and your neighbors. But anyway, let's get to story number 2.
This story happened last year, and I still can't explain it, and I'm still traumatized by it. A massive blizzard had hit our area. Roads were closed, cable lines were down, and many people lost power. It was pretty bad. And thankfully, our house still had power, and all we could do was hunker down and wait for the blizzard to pass. And it was getting late at night. I want to say around 10:30, and I was up in my room, trying but failing miserably at making funny TikTok videos. And I was recording a skit when I heard this tapping on my window. Now, mind you, my bedroom is on the second floor of the house. And I heard the tapping on the window, but I figured it was just the snow hitting it because the flakes were massive.
Oh, yeah, that would make somebody jump back quick if you hear a big tapping on the window while you're filming a TikTok video or doing something else, especially during a blizzard. I would be thinking, yeah, it's probably snow hitting it too, but I guarantee you it's probably not the snow. Some crazy lunatic probably got up on your roof and is near your window.
I ignored the tapping and went on with making my TikToks. As I finally filmed a good scene, there was a second tap on my window, but this time much louder, almost like someone had hit it with an open fist. Now I was getting curious, and I was about to go check it out when I suddenly got a text message. It was from this weird number that I did not recognize that had a bunch of 1s and 8s in it. I opened the text and read it. It said, "Look out your window." And I'll be honest, this text kind of freaked me out.
I mean, it would freak me out too if you don't know who sent it and it says, "Look out your window." And all this time you were thinking it was the snow. But the snow would not form to a big mass that would hit the window so hard like a fist. So you need to go get one of your parents, show them the text, and look out that window together, because if there's a grown man there, he might want to try to break in and rob you guys or either kidnap you. You never know. But this is getting creepier by the minute.
But I went to my window that I heard the tapping coming from and looked out. And I really couldn't see too much. The snow was falling so hard, and it was dark outside. Between the tapping on my glass and the weird text message, I decided to go get my dad and tell him. When I did, my dad told me to stay put, and he'll go outside and check it out. I watched as he went to the front door and into the blizzard. He came back 10 minutes later, covered in snow and freezing. But when he came back inside, he immediately started locking the front doors and checking the windows. Frightened by this, I asked my dad what he found or saw. My dad told me he found footprints leading from the woods up to our house, specifically to my bedroom. But that's not all. He pulled out this plain white bandana and said it was hanging from the bathroom window from outside. He showed me the bandana, and written on it was, "Your son isn't safe." My dad called the police, but unfortunately, because of the conditions of the roads and the snow, an officer wasn't able to come out till the next day when everything was cleared up. The next day, when an officer was able to come out, my dad explained the tapping on my window, the unknown text, and the bandana with the message on it. Ultimately, no one was ever caught for this, and quite frankly, I don't think the police took it that seriously. Now, whenever there's a blizzard, I'm haunted by the fact that whoever did this will return. Please, stay safe, everyone.
Are you kidding me? I don't know why the police wouldn't take it seriously when they literally heard tapping at the window and somebody texting him saying, "Look out your window." And then the dad finds a white bandana saying your son ain't safe. I mean, I would be taking it seriously because that seems like that dude was trying to scare the crap out of that boy. Well, it worked, but also was planning on grabbing him and kidnapping him. He said that he does TikTok. I guarantee it was probably one of them creepy followers. Probably figured out where he lived at. But man, I wish the cop took it more seriously to do their best to track down any leads, because you don't want this guy coming back to this residence or even stalking anybody else. But if you haven't had an encounter with this person anymore after this, you should not worry about him even when another blizzard comes in. He's probably long gone by now. That is just creepy.
When I was a kid, I remember our town being hit by this massive snow blizzard. Like, it was coming down so hard that I remember thinking that I was living inside of a snow globe. Anyway, back when there was a snowstorm, that meant school was canceled. I think nowadays, when there is a snowstorm, kids now have virtual school.
Thank God I did not have to deal with that back when I was out of school during the snow blizzard, because I would not know how to do all that virtual learning stuff that the students have to do now. But also, it's cool that you get to stay home, but also, I agree with what this person said about living inside of a snow globe. I think about that all the time when I go outside in the snow. And one thing I would like to mention about a blizzard, I like it when it's mostly snow, but here lately, we've been getting like snow that was mixed with ice, and every time I walked out there, it's always slick. And I don't like that. I'd rather be stepping in powder. But let's continue.
And I feel so bad for them. Since we didn't have school that day, that meant only one thing: going outside to play with your friends. It was me, Greg, and Harris. We all lived in the same neighborhood, and I had them all come out and meet me at my place. We did the typical kid stuff: build snowmen, have a snowball fight, and try to build big ramps for our sleds. Well, there was this huge hill behind my backyard that we were trying to ride our sleds down. When you got to the bottom of the hill, there was also a few houses down there. We were all down at the bottom of this hill, about to make our way back up to ride back down it again, when we heard a voice call out to us. We turned around, and there was this man standing at the back of one of the houses, waving at us. He was calling out for us to come over to him real quick.
No, don't do it. It's probably a dude that wants to kidnap kids, and the only way he could do it was try to lure them over to do something for him, probably. I'd be grabbing my sled and running back up the hill quickly.
None of us recognized who he was, but we thought maybe he had a question or needed help with something. So we trudged our way over to him. He was standing on his back porch, which was covered in snow, as was everything else. When we got close enough to speaking distance, we asked what's up. And that's when I actually was able to get a good look at the guy. He was older. He had this huge bushy mustache and was dressed in winter gear. When we got close enough, he looked at all of us and asked if we wanted to come inside for some hot chocolate. I'll be honest, as a kid who was freezing, it was very tempting to say yes.
I mean, yeah, that would be tempting because it's freezing outside. You need something to warm your insides up just so you won't get frozen like an icicle. But I wouldn't take a stranger's offer for hot chocolate because you never know. He might have spiked it with something to make you knocked out, you know. Just say that's okay. We're about to go back up the hill and go home anyway. But he'll probably get mad at that response.
And enjoy something hot. But also, we had no idea who this guy was. In fact, I had never seen him before. He kept eagerly asking us to come in and get warm, but he was too eager. Like, imagine a kid in a candy store. That was how he was acting. Me and my friends all looked at each other and knew the answer. I told the man sorry, no. Once I said no, the man howled out in this angry, guttural yell. It almost didn't sound human. Then, without warning, he jumped off the porch and started sprinting at us. We all instantly started to book it back up the hill. And if you know anything about running in the snow, it's hard as hell. But we were literally running for our lives, so we didn't stop till we made it back to the top and back at my house. We sprinted inside, getting snow everywhere, but we didn't care. I went straight to my parents and told them that the neighbor at the bottom of the hill asked us to come inside and started chasing us after we said no. Here's where it gets absolutely bizarre. My parents immediately called the police. They told us that the house at the bottom of the hill had been vacant for over a year and no one was living there. Police weren't able to do much because of the roads, and by the time they were able to come out, 2 days had passed. When they searched the house, they found empty food cans, beer bottles, and evidence that all pointed to a squatter. After that incident happened, I was no longer allowed to go anywhere near that house at the bottom of the hill. I'm a full-grown adult now, and I can't even imagine what would have happened if we accepted that man's invitation, or he had caught one of us while he was chasing us. People are the real monsters.
Hey, I don't blame the parents for saying don't go down there ever again because I wouldn't go down to that house anyway if I experienced something like that. But yeah, that dude didn't even own the house. He was a homeless squatter. So my guess is that guy probably wanted to kidnap some kids if he was like mentally messed up in the head to either human traffic them, delete them, or hey, didn't even think about it like mess with them in the wrong way. But thankfully, they didn't agree to take any hot chocolate and ran back to the house. But I knew that guy was going to be long gone after he couldn't chase him any further up that hill because he knew that they were going to get police. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more spooky vibes related content like this. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man Score channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor. I said that's a wrap, and have a nice day, y'all.